What if entering the U.S. legally still put you at risk for sudden deportation? Imagine following every rule, attending your court dates, and still getting swept up in a raid or arrested just outside a courthouse. That reality might soon change. Let's break it down. Major blow to expedited deportation policy. In a major legal rebuke to the Trump-era immigration enforcement playbook, two recent federal court rulings have placed significant limitations on how and when U.S. immigration authorities can detain and deport non-citizens. These decisions could impact hundreds of thousands of migrants currently living in the U.S. legally under humanitarian parole programs or other protections. One of the most impactful decisions came from U.S. District Judge Anna C. Jacob in Washington, D.C. She issued an order blocking the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, from applying the fast-track deportation process known as expedited removal to migrants who had entered the U.S. legally through ports of entry under humanitarian parole. This ruling potentially saves large numbers of migrants, many from Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Haiti, from abrupt and aggressive removal procedures. Understanding expedited removal. Expedited removal is a policy tool that allows immigration officers to rapidly deport individuals who are found to be in the U.S. without legal status and who cannot prove they've been in the country for a certain period. Normally used at the border, it was later expanded to include anyone who entered the U.S. in the last 2 years. Those subjected to it often do not get to see a judge, making the process both swift and controversial. Targeting parolees, a dangerous precedent. The court ruling focuses on migrants who were granted parole, a temporary admission into the U.S. for urgent humanitarian reasons or significant public benefit. Under the Biden administration, parole has been used more widely to manage migration flows humanely. These parolees are legally in the U.S., often working, paying taxes, and raising families. The Trump administration tried to override that legality by attempting to push some of these individuals into expedited removal once their cases were dismissed in immigration court. Judge Jacob ruled that this practice was not just unfair, it was unlawful. Her opinion emphasized that people who had followed every legal step, shown up to court, and complied with government requirements were being punished unfairly. The human impact at courthouses. A particularly troubling aspect of this enforcement strategy was its focus on courthouse arrests. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, agents were reportedly waiting outside courtrooms to detain people immediately after their hearings. These tactics sparked national outrage, especially as videos surfaced showing visibly distraught migrants being handcuffed after doing everything right. The judge's order effectively halts these courthouse operations, calling them a violation of due process. The ruling also shines a light on the emotional toll these arrests take, particularly on individuals already fleeing trauma or persecution. Immigration stops based on language or job profile. Meanwhile, on the West Coast, a separate but equally impactful legal development unfolded. The Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals upheld a temporary restraining order issued by Judge Mayim Y. Frimpong in Los Angeles. This order prohibits immigration officers from detaining people solely based on their language, ethnicity, or job category, such as being a day laborer. This lawsuit stemmed from incidents where ICE officers detained individuals at bus stops or outside businesses like car washes, locations stereotypically associated with undocumented workers. The plaintiffs included U.S. citizens who were aggressively questioned and detained despite asserting their citizenship. The court ruled that these tactics amounted to racial profiling, violating constitutional protections against unreasonable search and seizure. A system under scrutiny. Together, these rulings signal a growing judicial resistance to immigration enforcement practices viewed as discriminatory or unconstitutional. They highlight the blurred lines between legal presence and illegal enforcement, challenging the assumption that legality guarantees safety. The courts have sent a clear message: racial profiling, language discrimination, and punishing people who follow the legal process will not be tolerated. Judge Frimpong's opinion also notes that immigration agents failed to show any reasonable suspicion when stopping and questioning people, a fundamental constitutional requirement. New protections for over 1 million migrants. Experts say Judge Jacobs' order could provide temporary relief for more than 500,000 people paroled under Biden administration programs and nearly 1 million others who entered through the CBP One app, a now discontinued digital portal used to schedule border crossings. These individuals would otherwise be at risk of fast-track deportation under prior interpretations of immigration law. A crucial legal distinction. One of the most overlooked elements in this case is the difference between removal and due process. Removal is a government power. Due process is a constitutional right. These court rulings reinforce that no matter a person's immigration status, basic legal protections must be honored. This principle goes beyond technical legal arguments. It strikes at the heart of what kind of nation the U.S. wants to be, one governed by fair rules, or one where fear and profiling dictate policy. Resistance from DHS. Despite the rulings, not everyone agrees. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, released a strong statement criticizing Judge Jacobs' decision, calling it lawless and an overreach that undermines immigration enforcement. They argue that the tools blocked by the court are necessary for public safety and national security. However, legal analysts note that none of the blocked enforcement efforts specifically targeted criminals or public safety threats. Instead, the focus appeared to be on migrants who were already cooperating with the system. Court of public opinion. Beyond the legal world, these rulings are reshaping the conversation around immigration enforcement. Advocates praise them as long overdue protections for communities living in fear. Critics see them as judicial overreach that restricts executive power. But public opinion is shifting. More Americans are calling for balanced, humane immigration policies. These rulings show that the courts are listening and acting when enforcement crosses the line. Looking ahead. While these decisions represent critical wins for immigrant rights, they are not permanent. The Justice Department is expected to appeal both rulings, and future administrations could seek to reinstate harsher policies. Still, for now, the message is clear. Legal presence matters. Due process matters. And the Constitution applies to everyone, not just those born in the United States. My thoughts. While legal protections are tightening around some of the most vulnerable communities, it's important to remain cautious. Enforcement policies tend to fluctuate with the political climate. What the courts affirm today could be challenged again tomorrow. If you or someone you know is in the immigration system, stay informed and seek legal advice. Policies are changing fast, and knowledge is your first line of defense. Final note. These court rulings have reshaped the boundaries of immigration enforcement. Whether you are a citizen, green card holder, or on humanitarian parole, understanding your rights and staying informed has never been more critical. We'll continue to monitor developments and bring you the facts you need to stay ahead. Subscribe to Visa Intel USA for trusted updates, and remember, justice begins with information.